So we'll just go ahead and get started. Just go ahead and spell your first last name, and you can tell us what the organization, nonprofit that you're supporting.
Sure. My name is Terri Davis. That's TerriDavis. And I work with Route 91 Nation, a local nonprofit that came out of the October 1 shooting.
How just real quick, how did the nonprofit come together?
It started as the brainchild of a college student who was at the concert with her mother. Um, she's a Las Vegas resident, and her name is Cody Jones. She, in the aftermath of the concert and dealing with issues with PTSD, lost her scholarship. The Nevada has a special scholarship that they give to students. But her grades declined, so she lost her scholarship. And after a long battle to get her education funded, she decided that she wanted to give back in this way, to find a way to give scholarships to people who were struggling to pay for college. And out of that, her mother, Bobby, myself, and a couple other people came together and got it rolling. And we've been going since, I believe it was 2019 is when we first started.
And if you know this, how many people have you helped in our community so far?
Um, in our community, that number is probably only 3 or 4, but we have given out to date somewhere between 15 and 20 scholarships. Um, it's not strictly for local graduates or local people. We open it up to anyone in the US. We've given scholarships to people as far as the East Coast, and then California, Tennessee, like all over.
So clearly you're using this nonprofit, you and your fellow colleagues there to you know turn what was one of the worst nights of in modern history into a positive gain to help others. Um, Another thing that's happening in our community is the 1 October Memorial that's being planned out right now as we speak. They are fundraising. We got another update recently that they are 60% to their goal needed to begin. Um, what are your overall impressions, thoughts to having a permanent memorial for one of obviously one of the most horrific nights in history?
Yeah. Um, I don't think it's a I don't think it's something you can call a must do. I think it's something we have to do. And that's a small distinction, but it's something we have to do not just for honoring the 58 people we lost and the 2 people who died subsequently from their injuries, but to honor the thousands of lives who were affected by the events of that night, to honor the event itself, not, and I don't mean the horrific event, I mean the fact that for almost 3 days, we were having the best weekend of our lives until 11 minutes happened. We have to honor the people who helped us in that night and in the ensuing days afterwards. We have to honor the firefighters and the police officers and the paramedics and the doctors and nurses and everybody who helped out. And we have to be able to tell a story that's going to be remembered forever, long after we're gone, because it's only through learning about such things that we realize the importance of making sure they don't happen again.
Okay. Um, just in your mind, because I take that that was a more general thought, but specifically for you being a survivor of that night, um, I mean, are you going to find yourself going to this memorial on a consistent basis once it's up and running?
That's a tough question. I firmly believe every word I just said. That's not a party line. Those are my thoughts as well. Um, I will go on a what a regular basis looks like. I'm not sure. We've had, the healing garden since basically the week after. And I go there as regularly as I can. And sometimes it's just for me. I know for sure on the remembrance weekends or, on and about that day, I will spend time there. Um, I can't imagine it not being a place that I would visit. I'll take, my great nieces and nephews who are just now recognizing that they lived during that time but didn't know what it was. I recognize the importance of the educational piece of it, and I want people to understand and know, and I want people to remember the people we lost, and I want that it to be a sacred thing for people. So yeah, I'll visit. I couldn't tell you exactly how often or when, to be exact.
Okay. Um, well, let's change gears in the regard of, you know, how you are helping specifically to keep one of the survivors that you got close to, their memory and their life alive. Can you talk to us about the how your nonprofit is supporting Bailey and her family?
Sure. Yeah. So I never knew Bailey Schweitzer personally. I met her mother in the aftermath of the shooting itself. And through that, spending, I think it was about 7 hours with them in the Tropicana, just built a bond because of my willingness to help, really. Um, and since then we've had numerous visits. When they've been in town, I've tried to support them through being there. I visit their home. Everything I've heard about Bailey and have learned about her was that she was an amazing spirit, full of joy, loved life to its fullest, uh, had a bit of a frisky side. Uh, was always down for fun. But I haven't had anyone tell me anything negative about her. She was 20, just a kid. Um, but her mother and I have, formed that bond both as survivors and just trying to help where I can. And our nonprofit, because we did scholarships, and I discovered through talking to her mom that Bailey wanted to become an educator. And I had always, from the day that, things started to take shape in my mind afterwards as to what had really happened, I wanted to find a way to honor Bailey. Um, and so I went to our board and I said, hey, we're already doing 2 scholarships. We should do one in Bailey's honor and give it to people who want to go into education. Scott and Chrissy, Bailey's parents, were all for it. Um, and it's my heartbeat. It's what I love to do. I love to make sure that she's honored every year when we give away her scholarship. Well, I call all of our scholarship winners personally and inform them of their award. And when I call the person who wins her scholarship, it's always interesting how they seem to have either a connection to Bakersfield, where she lived, to her school, to her family, or just there's something about them that says that they're a lot like she was. And so it's a joy to do every year, and to keep her memory alive, to make sure that she's not forgotten.
Do you feel that this is helping her parents in a tremendous way?
All I can go off is what they say. They lost a treasure that night, and it's something they'll never forget. And every time, we're planning this event and I speak with them, I always hear the same thing. Thank you so much for always honoring our daughter. Thank you for remembering Bailey and for wanting to do this for her. It does their heart good to know that people want to honor her. So, am I helping? Probably in ways I don't understand. Yeah.
Okay. And honestly, the last thing I had texted you was just as much as you feel comfortable sharing, just so we have a little background as to your specific um, hangout at the event. Can you
Mhm.
kind of just give us a brief summary timeline of that night for you?
Sure. My summary is brief. Anyway, because I don't really have a lot of working memory of the entire day, honestly. Um, we went a little bit later in the afternoon, my friends and I. Um, we met across the street and had lunch first, and then went over and uh, we had decided, we weren't going to be taking part in too much drinking that night because it was the end of a long weekend. And I met one of my high school friends who was in town for the concert. At some point, it was still daylight. Um, and then she left to go be with her people. And the next thing I really remember um, is being at the front of the audience, but deciding we needed a restroom break. So we did that. And I remember wanting to get back up front because Jason Aldean was going to be taking stage soon. But I just didn't feel it. So I got separated from my friends, and we had a deal the whole weekend that if we ever got separated, we would meet at the House of Blues. They had a pop-up bar there. And so I just stood back there, basically towards the back of the main crowd between that and the lawn seats, and where the Next in Nashville stage was. And the next thing I remember is the shooting had started. Um, People were running by me. Uh, I, you know, stood there frozen, basically, telling people to go out through the House of Blues. I don't know why I chose to do that. Um, the next thing I know, there's really nothing going on around me. I mean, people were being tended to on the ground, but basically the venue had cleared out of people who were clearing out. And so I walked out through the House of Blues, out through a gate that had been opened, ended up back on Giles and Alibaba. And towards the end of Alibaba, where it dead ends, is where I ran into Chrissy Schweitzer, um, through just happenstance. And the next thing I know, we're in the Tropicana and being told we're in lockdown. So I stayed with them for, in their hotel room for the night. And we got out the next morning, knowing that Bailey was gone. Or, yeah. And Chrissy's son picked her up, took her to the hospital, and I went off on my own, headed home, and don't remember a whole lot. But yeah, I mean, that's probably about 18 hours condensed into what I remember, minus some things that I don't talk about. I really appreciate you though wanting to do this story. I know and knew that the memorial story was coming out because I was at the meeting last week for they call us van passengers, were people with a stake in the game, right?
Yeah,
So we were informed of all of this stuff last Thursday. Um, like I said, it was a great weekend until it wasn't. But out of what was meant for evil, warriors found their voice, and good is happening.
absolutely.